Hey everyone, welcome. It's Aaron Mathias from Human Garage. We are broadcasting live, and I am so excited to be here today talking about you. You, yes, my friend, you, the beliefs you have, the stories that you tell yourself, and how those stories and your belief can directly impact your life. We're going to be talking to an incredible woman today named Tanja Subotic, who is a multi-hyphenate creator, a multi-hyphenate founder, and is just amazing at what she does. She is not only a powerful author and creator of Go Greek Yogurt, she's also created a powerful deck of cards that can help you tap into the deepest potential of yourself, called Wonders of Wisdom. So I'm super excited to have this conversation with her today. We're just waiting for her to jump into the live itself. And as usual, sometimes I see things and miss people when they request. So pardon my attention as I'm just watching for her to hop in here, and I will add her in a second. In the meantime, folks, though, we do these conversations typically every Wednesday at 5:30. Because Tanja is actually in France, we adjusted our time to go live and have this conversation. And if you are just joining, my name is Aaron Mathias, and we are going to be talking today very deeply about the power of I am and your beliefs and how you look at the world and how greatly that influences the impact and creativity and how you express yourself with Tanja Subotic from Wonders of Wisdom. A few housekeeping things before we dive in. If you haven't already done so, please join our app, our private community. You can do that at humangarage.net. You can dive deeper into fascial maneuvers and all the beautiful mechanics there. And if you've done fascial maneuvers and you've been working through it and experiencing it and you love it and you want to take it to an even deeper level, hey, why not become a Human Garage coach? Our coaching program just closed down the original enrollment function, but we have a waiting list available. Get on it now. It's a powerful experience. It's going to dive super deep into learning the mechanics in a super detailed fashion of performing fascial maneuvers and being able to do it with another and some of the deeper release techniques that you can use. So check it out. Go to humangarage.net, sign up for the waiting list. And if you would love to connect with me, Aaron Mathias, you can do so over at pulseoflife.co or Aaron Mathias The Purpose, and we can have deeper conversations together. All right, so we're just waiting for Tanja to hop on, and she may have done so already. If you are there, Tanja, please send another request, because there's 1,000,001 little requests pop in here, and I think I may have missed you. So please just send another request. Or Marco, if you're on and you see it and I missed it, can you repost her request? Because I do not see it. Hey Monica, if you see it as well, because I don't see Tanja yet. There we go. This conversation, because Tanja is one of the most powerful women I think I've ever met, as far as her creativity, her ability to build. I'm just pimping you out right now.
Thank
I
you
was
so
talking
much.
about how it's so good to see you, by the way.
Likewise. Always
Uh,
love seeing you, Aaron.
I was just telling people that I'm so excited for this conversation because you're one of the most powerful women I've ever come across in my journeys. And I've had the opportunity to meet so many people through my life, from working in the film industry to health and wellness to all these different aspects. And your ability to tap into creativity to build, not only from an entrepreneurial perspective, because you've also created a yogurt company,
Yes.
all the way down to writing books, guiding people, teaching people, and now creating this powerful deck of Wonders of Wisdom. And you've got some film stuff going on too as well.
I do.
So it's just incredible to have a conversation. But for everybody who is coming on board, This is Tanya. Welcome. I'll let you give a little shout out of yourself. Like, who the heck are you?
Thank you so very much for that generous introduction. Actually, when you say it out loud, it kind of makes me feel that it could be slightly overboard crazy with how much I do. But I
Yeah.
genuinely have a huge capacity to produce when it is passion based, and all of my projects are very passion based.
Yeah.
Essentially, I guess I'm a storyteller. So storytelling has always been the center point of what I do. And when I mean story, is just being able to relate to from human to human on a human level. And myself, actually, since we've known each other for, I don't know, how many, 8, 9 years? I don't even
Yeah.
remember at this point.
Yeah. Probably since
Um,
about 2017-ish.
yes. So you met me when I was at the height of some serious health issues and decline in health with Lyme's disease, brain tumor, all kinds of autoimmune diseases. And it was right at that point where I had made an ultimate decision to pivot and to drastically change my life. And how I did that was tuning into my inner realm, and that I call it the I am presence, that spirit within. And when I tapped into that, not only did I rapidly heal at like unprecedented timing and just exponentially on all levels, mind, body, and soul, it was so holistic and literally brought me to my knees to truly understand, number one, what it is to be human, the vivacity of being human, and the ability to tap into the human potential. Because when I tapped into that I am presence, that internal reservoir, that infinite wellspring of potential, I reached far and above just the physical health. I tapped into many dimensions of health and wellness, but also just that infinite potential, and to really understand the landscape of being human and how to navigate this life as a very integrated human. Prior to that, I was probably quite segregated in my own being. Obviously, my body was screaming out for me, so I was pretty fragmented in how I was living my life. And I hadn't known what it was to be whole in the sense of uniting all parts of self. And that is what Wonders of Wisdom is all about. And Wonders of Wisdom came online when I tapped into that inner wellspring of that omnipresence that lives within all of us. Essentially, we're all creator. We're the extension of creation and creator itself, you know, a living expression in our own unique way and form. And I believe personally, we're all here to tap into that, to be that purest expression of that creator energy. And that's what happened to me. So after coming out of this huge journey of wellness and health and finding myself in the most holistic way, removing myself from the Western, you know, medical system, because I was completely rejected at that time when I had Lyme's disease. I
Yeah.
was pretty much told that I was crazy and that I needed psychiatric help.
Yeah.
And parasites, all of those things were completely foreign and rejected, to the point where I was ousted out of many hospitals and clinics, saying that I was no longer allowed to speak to these doctors. So I had no other way and no choice but to go inward. And then, of course, working with you guys at Human Garage was another form of, you know, that alternative approach, something way deeper, something that penetrated beneath the surface, and it tapped into the emotions that were heavily stored. I guess, like most of us in humanity, we all go through our life stories and narratives and hold on to a lot of emotions, most of it subconscious. So bringing these up, that big purge opened up the floodgates to this potential that was waiting. And we all start as a seed, no different than a seed of a tree beneath the soil. It's
Yeah.
nurturing itself. It's kind of fermenting beneath the soil in the darkness. It's kind of what I felt like I went through, that dark time in my health, but that seed held potential, and I hadn't tapped into it until that point. And then I gave birth to that, coming out of that darkness, and a whole new world opened up for me. And creating was not something I had to try or to find or to seek. That term, you know, I have to find myself. Yourself is already always there. It's just waiting for you to be witnessed and called and invited through invocation and direct intention. Um, so this is where all my projects started to birth from. Go Greek Yogurt, my writing, my book. One of my books was written then. Also, some of my more creative projects that are hopefully going into the film world, which we're working on right now. And then while I was writing my manuscript for my movie, I was interrupted with Wonders of Wisdom because the process of creation wasn't something separate to me anymore. I didn't have, like, prior to this whole journey of tapping into that infinite potential, I always felt like I had to chase my potential, to chase my skills or my talents. Like, I don't know what I am, but I have to figure it out and even maybe potentially make it up. So it was so separated. And the whole thought process around it was separate, which was even pulling me further away from the potential. But when I tapped into it and I was writing my manuscript for this film I'm working on, I just, there was so much flooded information coming in, and I was just an open conduit. And all I write is a receiving. It's nothing that my mind is really interruptive or intrusive on. The second my mind gets into it, I put my pencil down and I stop, because it's no longer a receiving. It's, the
Yeah.
mind ego coming in. And Wonders of Wisdom came in, and I was just like, we need to, like, I almost came into tears, because I was like, had I known this as a child, I would have saved myself and a life, such a long journey of pain and suffering, just knowing that I'm this potential and that life is truly beautiful. And essentially, we are these vessels of creative, potential and love. And I had sought love and pretty much everything in my life as an external thing, never an internal seeking. And the second I just became this internal, holistic, integrated person and being, because it's more than just the person, everything just kind of came to me. And Wonders of Wisdom was just that inspiration point where I was like, my goodness, if my younger me, if that inner child me had known that I was never alone, and that even in my hardship, there was this divine aspect of me, this higher intelligence guiding, and all I needed to do was know it, turn that
Mhm.
inner light on. The decision making that I'd probably done when I was a teenager could have been, a lot easier and mitigated. Like, you're still a teenager, you're still going to press your limits, but I went through a
Yeah.
very long, hard teenagehood into my early adulthood. And while it was all beautiful, because it was all a teacher to me, I wasn't tapped into my potential. So I was always chasing my vocation or my mission or my purpose. And that was something that really hurt me, because I was always an artist. I was an artist from a very young age, and I disconnected from that when I went through my trials and error, because I guess I stopped believing. I had that sense of worthlessness and lack of self-love, and that void of something much deeper, that driving force within. So Wonders of Wisdom came on and online, and I was like, this is so beautiful to share. And as a storyteller and an artist, I teamed up with other artists to create these beautiful experiences. So Wonders of Wisdom is basically, it's like we're pioneering a wisdom-based education for all ages, for children and teens, which there's a huge void in.
Yeah.
Like, the most critical age groups have very limited tools and resources. And I just remember myself as a teen and a child, and this would have been, number one, interesting and engaging, but also life-changing for me. And in our day and age, I feel our children and teenagers need a lot more support than potentially, 30 plus 8 years ago when we were kids, or when I was, anyway, or 30 years ago. So I created this to bring online true wisdom, both ancient and modern, in micro-sized educational experiences. So we offer wisdom decks from the sages, luminaries, and visionaries of all time. We offer affirmation decks, and we do this for all age groups. I also have pioneered a project called the I Am Creator Method. And the I Am Creator Method will be taught as a program for each age bracket, for each edition. There's child, teen, and adult editions. And this teaches exactly what I just spoke about, activating and connecting with that creator power within, that I am presence, and then putting it to use in your missions or your projects or whatever it is you want to tune into in your life, and becoming a master, number one, of your energy, of your creative power, and how to fully execute let's say the word manifestation, I use the word creation because we're creators. And this is, I use a tool as a storyteller and as a visionary. I always find, and as an artist, when we see through the lens of creativity and we tap into creative projects or works of other artists, essentially we're tapping into the soul of the universe through that conduit, but we're also easing the edge off of complete memorization and learning. We're actually becoming engaged with it because we're connecting through creative means, and we're opening up our heart because there's some creative connection there. And when you become and you when you immerse into any project or learning, you essentially become it, walking away with your own philosophies and your own aha moments. And this is the essential essence of wow, it's to inspire your own inner wisdom and that inner genius. All my life I was very entertained with what made a genius a genius. As an artist, geniuses were sometimes artists were sometimes classified as geniuses, unfortunately mostly when they passed. But
Yeah.
I was very curious of what made a genius a genius. Like what did they know that we didn't know? What were they tapping into? And it was this divine spirit, this divine providence. It's that higher self. And not only higher self, but to know that even our stories and our allegories and our myths, those characters are archetypes of your own self. So essentially, if you want to tap into, poetry or some sort of writing, you can tap into the Shakespearean archetype to pull in that part of you that is essentially that archetype. So there's so many incredible ways that I learned how to create as an artist and as a storyteller, and I wasn't doing it alone. And this is what WOW teaches, is that number one, you're not alone. You have a higher divine self, and this divine self is right here for you right now, and you can tap into it and have divine governance. You have two choices. It's either this divine higher governance, this innate intelligence within, or this egocentric self, which is great to service you, but the ego self is a construction of external noise, philosophies, and other people's ways of living and ideologies. It's never your own. And that I am presence is your true nature. And like I said, that seed of life that we all are holds that divine blueprint, if you will, of your entire destiny. Just like a seed holds a tree and their entire blueprint of how it's going to grow in whatever, element it's going to grow in. All we have to do as creators is be attuned to the elements, just the way the tree is: earth, air, water, fire, and air, the ether, which is the informed energetic field of the universe.
Yeah.
So all my projects pretty much encapsulate this. I use the tree of life for all editions so that we can connect and relate to all aspects of ourselves while relating to the tree. It keeps it fun, it keeps it engaging, and it keeps it interesting, and it's informative. Right now, I also have the I Am movement coming forward, which is basically the I Am affirmations becoming the new uniform. And I love affirmation so much. There's a lot of, different perspective around affirmation. But writing affirmations and speaking and seeing affirmation is more, it's more than just an act of self-expression. It's a powerful, almost neurological and energetic process. When you're in affirmation, especially when you're writing down or you're journaling, this is essentially an extension of your nervous system attached to your heart, because it's a creative process. It's not necessarily a mind process if you allow that to happen.
Yeah.
And you're tapping into your heart. So it's extremely connected, and it's actually flowing through your nervous system into reality, where you're consecrating these words. No different than a information of data inputted into a computer system. You're inputting your data into your field of reality. So the more we're seeing affirmations around us, the more we're consecrating them through word, through feeling, through positivity, we start to pivot our internal narrative, which becomes like this wave of contagious energy, which perpetuates throughout humanity. And the whole point is to inspire, a positive human narrative, considering the social narratives that we've been subjected to for far too long. And I think everybody's quite over it at this point. So I'm a part of that that movement, or that you know, energetic expression to inspire, and we do it with again art. Everything has that sense of art to it and a little bit of narrative to it. So that's kind of what WOW is and what's happening there.
In a small nutshell.
Yeah.
But I love what you said. One of my favorite things about WoW and the decks themselves is you're really putting emphasis on reaching children and youth, and you're doing something to me which is so key. Is from a young age you're capturing the idea or the attention of a child to get out of their heads and into their body and what they're feeling, what they're noticing, and connecting the two back together. Because school typically puts people all up in their head. It's all about like, hey, what kind of information can I process? I know all this stuff, but how do I navigate through life? And the decks, the whole approach is to start to tap people back into intuition, what they're feeling, what they're noticing, and how to express that, and being okay with being able to feel and express and connect in that way, which I think is brilliant.
Yeah, you said it you said it right on point. I think wisdom is such a proponent to just a high level of consciousness. And like you said, in our traditional systems, we're learning a lot of information, but we're not learning the wisdom of self, how to navigate life, and how to be an expression in our truest nature, and more so, how to feel safe being self. Because essentially, when we're in these traditional systems, away from home, away from, you know, mom and dad, or even maybe mom and dad are trying to work through their own things, or the family unit, we're seeing a lot of youth being shut down and, you know, silenced in their expression. And then when that happens at a young age, it's detrimental, because this is what builds that sense of worthlessness, the disconnect from self, the disconnect from power. So with what I did with Wonders of Wisdom, this children's edition is my absolute favorite thing I think I've ever worked on in my life, maybe next to the manuscript in the movie.
Yeah.
But it's an entire program, and we have the wisdom deck, and we have the affirmation deck, the Wonder Tree, which is super engaging, super fun, a little bit gamified, but and a program that goes with it that really, number one, brings forth the wisdom, the teaching element that yes, you do have a higher self, you do have an intelligence that's built within you, and you can call on it at any time, and you can feel safe in your expression, and essentially that you will be the best version of yourself. And if we're talking about a material world and manifesting and you know, working through life for gains and all of that, you will have the ultimate success when you're in your true expression, because you're essentially magnetic at that point, because you're working from a place of love, you're expressing from love, you're online with your innate higher self, and your higher self will work to conspire your reality to reflect back to you this connection. When we're disconnected and we're shutting down, the reality will show that in your life, and it will show you how you're shutting down. And what's interesting is our relationships with people, whatever age we're at, are the most beautiful conduits of learning experiences, because we cannot learn and evolve on our own. We need to have the mirror of ourselves reflected through our relationships.
Yes.
The more we communicate, the more we express, our true self, our true nature, our hearts, our soul's language,
Yeah.
the universe will then bring to you opportunities through the relationships that you have to exponentially act on it or to express more. And the great thing is, though, even if you're disconnected, the universe will still do the same and bring to you through relationships the triggers, the
Yep.
fights,
Yep.
the aggravation, the downfalls, the sickness, like me, um, of, oh no, no, hello, you got to wake up, you got to tap back into that higher self, because you've fallen way off track. And until you get it together, you're going to live in misery, because you're not aligned. You've fallen out of alignment,
Yeah.
and which means you're not living out your soul's mission. So the soul will keep acting up through your body, through your relationships, through your the mental capacity, whether it's depression, sadness, anger, all of these
Yeah.
things, until you wake up and take a moment to pause and come back home and say, okay, I'm here, I'm listening. What do I need to do and how do I tune in?
Kind of picking up where we had left off in our conversation about how important it is to grill people back into being able to pay attention to their intuition and their connection to their power and purpose, and how easily as kids we get disconnected, but as so many adults, because someone had asked the question like, hey, is this stuff just for kids? I'm like, no, there's actually adult decks and an adult version that help retrain you and guide you back into paying
Power.
attention to those things, because that's why so many adults are running around like kind of like chickens with their heads cut off in a way, right? Of like, what do I do? Who am I? What am I? Who am I? Who am I? Because they're up here and they're not connecting.
Yeah, it's honestly like I'm a big humanitarian and I've always been a huge empath. And I just feel like I feel so sad sometimes because it's life doesn't have to be so grueling and so hard. And it's really like we are like really truly we are divine in our nature and we are fully equipped with everything that we need within us. I mean, it's just like any seed of life. Like if I always go to this, if you look at any seed, they have their complete design of life within that seed. And if we allow nature to take its course without interfering with the process and being connected to ourselves, which is essentially being connected to the natural rhythms of creation itself, then everything will just kind of prosper. But it's very unfortunate because our human social narrative right now, which comes into a lot of the programs, and yes, I do the program, the I Am Creator program is 3 versions: the child version, the teenage version, and the adult version. All completely the same, just different language and different art attached to it, associated with the age bracket. But you know, our social exterior environment is really aggressive. So part of my commitment to myself when I said, you know, enough's enough, I'm not gonna live as this robot, disconnected, like a puppet on strings, you know, for all the governance and the hierarchies and the systems that are running our humanity right now. And I'm going to take my control back. And the second I decided that, I also decided I have to be very mindful of what I'm subscribing to in life. What am I engaging into? Stop news. 10 years ago, maybe. Don't ever listen to the news. Social media, very selective. If you know me very well, I'm quite internal, like hermit like, but I still have a life. Like I still go out, I still travel, I do socialize, but I'm just very mindful of what I engage, because what you engage in becomes your data. It's the data, the input that's into your system. And a lot of time we'll think that this is our own narrative, but it's not our narrative. Your own narrative, the higher self narrative is always love.
Mhm.
There's no confusion with that. The true self is always love. It's always going to be a very loving, compassionate, gentle, self-soothing, and safe kind of space to be into. When we start to get into these really deflective nature and this negative self-talk, that's all constructs of our external world. Because when you're actually in your I am presence, there is no bad. It's really beautiful. You're actually tapping into the loving aspect of life and yourself. So the what we do offer is for everybody, because I couldn't exclude a group or another, because as a human being, I've been a child, I've been a teen, and now I'm an adult. And I've gone through all these journeys of life, and they all have different, you know, components of learning and things that are very sacred for those journeys and those time frames that I tap into. And the way that I do this is very engaging and very creative. So it's not so intense, but it's interesting. And hence my business's name, A Wonder for Wisdom. You actually start to see life as an adventure, not as something that's daunting or impossible or
Yeah.
challenging. You actually start to wake up and say, with the tools and everything that we offer with wisdom, you start to see everything as adventure. Even the challenges that do come up for us older age groups, from teens and up, and even sometimes our children, is you'll start to see that even when that person standing across from you triggers you and is yelling at you or giving you some conflict to kind of figure out, when you can be in that higher presence by, first of all, initiating and invoking that in your morning. So it's already an intention that's non-negotiable, that you're going to be in your higher self for the day, every single day. It's no different. It's actually more important than brushing your teeth, in my perspective. Then you can have a different level of response as opposed to reaction. Mm-hmm. You're responding, not reacting. You're in consciousness. You're in an awareness. Because when you're in presence, no other moment exists except for presence. So if you're in your presence, you have the power, that power of that creator within you to create at the next moment that's coming from this moment. So your response will directly navigate and narrate that chapter of your story yourself. So what you're doing is becoming aware of that moment, and you can actually see from these different teachings or these stages that we offer through the I Am Creator method, is that even that person that's triggering you, or that event or that sickness or that fall or something, there's something teaching you or calling you back to return to your nature, to pause and to be connected. Because that noise is really loud because you're disconnected.
Yeah.
So the noise is pulling you away from yourself, but it's going to be louder than you because it's trying to get your attention to come back to you. It's a really hyper universal intelligence. And I think one of the biggest, like on my personal journey, when I woke up to all of this and started developing this mastery of creation and energy, I became really hurt, really, really hurt that we weren't taught this growing up, because it's such a superpower. And I literally say that to children in these programs. It's like, this is you're superhuman. You have a superpower within you, and you can tap into that. It's a genie in a bottle. It's the North Star within you. It's that voice within you, and it's really powerful. And there's ways to use it and to connect to it to really navigate your life with a lot more clearance and confidence. Because it's when you're disconnected, you lose confidence, because you feel like you're kind of swimming in this deep ocean and the sharks are everywhere and you don't know how to get to the top because there is no top. You're kind of always sinking. But this is something to hold on to and keep you grounded in your presence. So yeah, and for me, creating this was very important, and I have such a love for it around children and teens especially as well. Very hard time right now, very disconnected youth right now that we're dealing with. And it's very unfortunate and scary if it perpetuates and continues in the way that it is, because we're losing the sense of emotion and contact and being able to express and be in emotion, and to sit with your emotion or to understand what emotion is. And emotion in general is energy in motion. And whether you're always in some sort of state of emotion, and it's either you're in positive conscious emotion or negative disconnected emotion, right? So whatever your emotions are going to be that focus of attention, whether you're conscious or subconscious of it. So we're teaching, or let's say we're inspiring to be conscious and aware at a very young age, because this makes you the creator of your life story. And that's the essence with WOW, it's just becoming the creator of your life story. You have the power, and we inspire that.
Yeah, I love that. And I also love that you said of cultivating a curiosity and an interest in something that even seems, that we perceive as like, oh my God, I can't believe this is happening to me. This is horrible. Whether it be an illness, whether it be, whatever it is, I think there's something so powerful in starting to shift that perspective about becoming curious, or let's dare say the word, finding a little bit of joy in the fact that we get to even experience whatever's happening to us in the first place.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because it's a gift. The facts, and I love that you're imparting this over and over again. Hey, all of this is a gift. The fact that we get to be here, breathing, perceiving things, having a conversation, we're alive, we're living. So
incredible. It's incredible. And that's, I guess, part of my empathy and the heartbreak that I have, is that so many of us are taken away from that sacred essence of life because we have to survive. We have to meet the expectations of humanity. And the more we're trying to meet the expectations of the external world, the more disconnected we become. And it's, I believe that wisdom, the wisdom within the soul, is the true proponent to accentuate an extraordinary life. And like you said, when I started looking at life as an adventure, I promise you, like, I had to do this to myself. I had to like literally psych myself up. I was like, okay, today you're in
Yeah.
a game. You're in a game called life.
Yeah.
Whatever
But
happens to you, like Mario Brothers, you know, when you get the little ding ding,
yeah.
whatever coins. I'm like, okay, today's the game. Even if something bad happens, you're gonna pick yourself back. You're gonna put your survivor pack back on, and you're gonna go and get those coins, those keys, because you are here to collect keys in your life, and each key will open up another initiation to another part of your life. And essentially, we all have a gift. The gift is light. And that light is displayed through our vocation, our mission, our purpose, and whatever talents and skills we have. The more we're tapped into that, the more expansive our light becomes. And not to get too esoteric or, you know, otherworldly, but that light is the energetic frequency, that field of informed energy. The more it expands, the more you receive, the more clearance you have within to receive more. We have so much untapped potential in that void, that black DNA. That's potential. And it only comes to life with light. So when we're doing something that makes us feel alive and good, whatever it is, whatever that is individual to the person, this is where we expand, because essentially we're giving, we're sharing our light. When we release, we make room for more. And this is a very big thing. So when I started tapping into the game of life, I would take the keys and I would apply the keys that I would learn right away. And my life just started to snowball so quick in terms of evolution and creation and the same mission and purpose. And I didn't have to chase anything. And I mean, I think like my opportunities have come to me literally in my home. I don't even sometimes need to go out. It's just fascinating. It's so incredibly magical, the miracle of life. And even when we look at our sacred doctrines and our scripts and all the mythologies and stories, that miracle they're talking about is every day. It's not something far reached. It's not
Yeah.
something to the genius. It's not something to our most revered sages of time. It's happening every day. We're just not aware of it. We're not taught this. And because of that alone, we're disconnected from it. So the second you start to metabolize life as being a miracle every day, and miracles are happening all the time, so long as you're aware and receiving and inviting it in, you're going to start to understand that word miracle in a very profound and realistic way in your everyday life. And that's something we also really, you know, emphasize in Wonders of Wisdom, is the miracle, the wow, the magic, the beauty, the love. It's right here, right now. It's not something you have to earn. It's not something you have to chase. It's not something you have to deserve. You are it. You are all of it. We just need to unveil, like lift the veil, turn on the light, and voila, we're gonna get it.
It's all there.
And it's just the block is the programming. The way to it is to deprogram, to disconnect and release all of that internal data that we've been absorbing for so long. And then that's it. It's literally a lifting of that and the veil that we can do that with. And I have some tools inside the methods that offer this as well. But essentially what Wonders of Wisdom does is it allows you to connect to your own inner genius. That inner voice, that inner genius, that spirit within is your guru. That is your sage. That is your luminary that's going to guide you to exactly what you need. And that will come through your life through that inner voice, your feelings, your senses, the synchronicities that happen into life, those moments where you meet a random person that comes up to you that offers you exactly what you need, and you're just kind of like, okay, that was just so random, but that's what starts happening. The symbols you see, the words you see in public places, these are all messages of your spirit working through the universe, reflecting to you your path. So Wonders of Wisdom offers you that connection to your higher self for you to unfold your eternal blueprint, which is your specific pathway. And that's kind of where we're at with what we try to inspire. And we always keep it fun and real. You know, so many people ask as a creator, how do you create? How do you do this? You know, I try to think so hard and I put so much focus on this. And I'm like, well, you're not going to get really far if you're thinking so much in a creative process.
Yeah,
Creative is
yeah,
an opening. It's not a mind thing, it's a heart thing. So we have to come down into the heart or move into the heart space to receive those divine
yeah.
inspirations, the divine higher self. So, and that's what Wonders of Wisdom is all about, keeping it fun, keeping it engaging, keeping it light, micro-sized education for you to connect and then come to those aha moments of your own inner philosophy through your own inner genius and guru.
It's I think also you touched on something so interesting is keeping fun and openness to it because yeah, if you're trying to create something, I mean, working in the film industry myself and then even like now as I move through my life and I read this about most of the geniuses out there, their biggest ahas came not from when they were sitting there staring at the problem. They were out like taking a stroll. They were chilling on the beach. They were doing something else, and all of a sudden it hit them because they had still asked themselves the question of like, hey, what do I need? What am I looking for? But the inspiration or the kick of that download came in a different moment when they weren't so focused on it. Because even when I remember working like on film projects, when you're in these moments, you get stuck. And the second you kind of tap back into just having fun again and playing around and experimenting, all of a sudden this new answer came that was way better than what you thought was the way. This whole new thing came that was even better, more powerful, more profound. So that sense of play, I think, is so important.
So important, and it's so true. Play is essential because when we're rigid, we're attention and you're in your body and in your head. And when you're playing, you're essentially connected to yourself, but you're disconnected from everything else. Do you notice when you play or when you're having a good moment, nothing else in the world is penetrating you? You're just there, present in the moment. You're in
Yeah.
presence. And that's what connection for the creator, I am presence is. It's about being present to receive it. And that happens when you're actually disconnected and unplugged from your reality and you're actually tapped into what makes you feel good, because what makes you feel good relaxes you. It gives you joy and pleasure and it keeps you present. One of my biggest healing moments in my life was literally when my son was 7 years old and I was really conflicted, very bedridden, super, super sick. And at the height of just complete darkness in my life, my son said to me, Mommy, I'm so tired of you watching you looking up every ailment, every cure, every doctor, every clinic, every this, and this. He's like, you spend so much time confirming to the universe. He was 7. It blew my mind. You spend so much time confirming to the universe that you're sick just by engaging and looking every day at this. He says, you're an artist. You love to draw and paint. Go do that. You love to dance. Go dance. You love to cook. Go cook. You like to travel. Go travel. And he's like, when you start to do this, I think you're going to heal. Instead of going for another IV or to the clinic, go for a massage. And it just blew my mind because
Wow.
I listened to him and I looked at him and I said, oh my God, this is literally divine spirit speaking through this God-given child, this beautiful angelic boy. And I listened to him and my life changed drastically. Like, I mean, people were shocked. I had people reaching out to me in the same state of diagnosis and I was rapidly healing. And it was because I let go. I let go to the fact that I was sick. I stopped declaring to the world that my identity was this sick human being. And I
Yeah.
stopped that. And I changed my narrative. And I changed my narrative to connect to nature, to have fun, and to enjoy again. And I had forgotten what all of that was. And you know, how many people do we know that are workaholics, so ingrained into work, and they have so much resistance in their life, from health to relationships to even financial success at times? It's very hard to keep up and going. It's because they're so rigid all the time. You know, they forget to have fun. And that energetic frequency, that aura around them, it tightens. It becomes
Yeah.
so closed off with the resistance. You're not expansive. And only when you're expansive can you draw into you your destiny. Otherwise, you're chasing it and
Yeah.
chasing maybe you'll get there, but it's a long, long journey and it's a very painful one. So fun and relaxation are very key to the creative process. And even if you write, if you're a writer, for an example, and I automatic writer, some people call it. People ask me, how do you do it? How do you do? Please teach me. And I'm like, it's nothing I can teach. You just need to let go. If you want to write, let's say, an essay on, I don't know, the principles of the universe and love, write about something completely different. Write about something that you went through that didn't offer you that. Just write from your heart, and the answers will come. When you don't fixate on something so hard, you allow this field of energy to work on its own just by releasing it. You don't need to hold on to it. When you hold on to it, you're not letting it breathe and grow and birth on its own. It has its own process. Like every creation is a birth essentially, and you have to let it go through its own journey of birthing and let it come back to you, and it will.
Yeah.
You have to release it. So I love that you're also on that whole thing with having fun. Essentially, look where you are. That's the whole point, right?
Yeah.
Do and connect to environments and people that make you feel good and alive. And if they don't, find the courage, find the strength
Yeah.
to change that, whether it's with the person you're with, have conversations, or find a new solution. But it's vitally important to life.
Yeah. 100%. We're alive, so why not live? We're alive, so why not live?
Yes.
How are you, by the way, on time? Because I want to ask you some questions if you're okay with that.
Yeah,
Are you still good with?
I have a little bit more time for sure.
Okay, cool. I, I'm super curious of, or maybe people are too, is if you went from a company of creating yogurt, Go Greek yogurt, was there a hard transition? Is that still readily occurring, the yogurt company, and you've moved now more into purely creative, or how did you come up with like I'm going to make a yogurt company, and then now I'm creating these massive books and movies? Like where, or was that just tapping into your thing? I have an interest in this. I want to create this. I have an interest in this. I want to create this.
Yeah, I think essentially I just love creating. I love being an innovator. So my first project was tied to my health and wellness and me living in Greece and finding a deep love for the Mediterranean lifestyle. And it brought me so much healing when I lived there for so long. So that was kind of where that came from. And it was also quite creative. And now I'm still in that project, but on the creative side. So I'm like on the creative marketing and narrative side. I'm not on the business side, even though I'm involved in it, but I'm a lot more now in Wonders of Wisdom and my story writing for the movie and stuff. So I'm still involved in everything. I'm multi-managing everything, but I have strong, strong boundaries. Everyone knows me. I only work in certain times, and I have, give or take the things that come up like interviews or podcasts or meetings, but I really am selective with my energy output, and I'm very mindful of it. It's the
Yeah.
only way I have the capacity to do this.
Yeah, I mean, I can imagine trying to manage a few separate things and put that kind of energy. Do you have maybe there's not, maybe because it's kind of shifting a bit of an energetic pattern for each one, but do you have like a favorite? Is there a favorite above all that you've created? One that you're just like, hey, this is every time I even think about this, I'm like ready to jump out of my body because it's so fun.
My children's edition, for sure. I'm so
Okay.
excited to put this into the world. It's coming within the next month or two. Like, I just want to scream and shout, and I actually just want to give it away. Like, and that's what I'm doing for most of it. I'm giving a lot of it away, the affirmation programs and all of this. But my movie, I can't. Like, it's just, I can't. Like, I am so excited for this story. It was a story actually that came to me about 4 or 5 years ago, and has evolved so dramatically, and it's just like mind blowing. It's a really epic story. So I'm hoping to get the screenwrite done soon. We're in the process, and get it going into production. But that's probably, these two are my most that keep me up all night long. Literally, and like no joke, I always writing at 3 in the morning, 4 in the morning. It doesn't stop. And I rise to the occasion all the time because it doesn't feel like work. It actually gives me energy.
I love it. Yeah, because it's I just one of my mentors had this concept. He's like, hey, do you ever think of this? Because we always say like, oh, if I don't get enough sleep or I don't quite eat properly, I don't have the energy to get through the day. And he's like, think about something for a second. He's like, you're you have an infinite supply of. And by the way, I'm not telling people not to sleep or eat good nutrition
Sure.
by saying this. I'm just bringing up a point of because you just mentioned the idea of like I'm just up writing, creating, and you feel good about it because we do have this infinite source of power that can sometimes override even what we think physically there. Because it reminds me of the story of like when you're in love with somebody, right? You can go days without like sleeping, eating, and you're like, I'm just in love. Yeah, let's hang out, let's
So
talk all
good.
night long. And then the next day comes and you're still awake and you're still full of this energy. And it's like, wait a second, I didn't take that from food. I didn't take that from my sleep. I'm just feel amazing. My mind is still working. I'm here and creating. The point of that whole little segue was that that power is in there, and when you're tapped into it, and this is what I find so beautiful is you're tapping into it pretty consistently. You can just go and build and create, and even though there's multiple things, you're still just like it's like tapped into what life is.
Yeah. You're literally plugged into the reservoir of creation. That's what I am presence is. This is what wow is. Like you're tapped into that creator energy. Yes, we have moms and dads and grandparents and all of that.
Yeah,
But who created all of us? We're tapped into that creator energy. We are the extension of that, meaning we have that within us. That's inherent in our DNA, in our energetic field and reservoir. You know how you said when you're in love with someone, it's the same thing. When I came to love that divinity within, that I am presence, that was the greatest, like I want to say love affair I've ever had. That's what plugged me back into life and had rapid healing. Like I was glowing all the time. People are like, you look youthful and young and all of that, and and I was on all the time. Like I was never off. I never got sick anymore. None of that. So it's this infinite potential of power within. It's just we block it with toxins, with wrong foods, with terrible habits, with
yeah,
alcohol, with drugs, with our mental, our thoughts. So when we stop afflicting harm on that and toxicity, then you make way. You'll open up that reservoir to express itself through you. Essentially, we're a conduit. Like the body is a conduit for this energy, this field of energy, this spirit. You want to call it God, Allah, Buddha, whatever. It's all the same. It's omnipresent.
yeah,
Omnipresence is the infinite creator, the source of all life. And we just have written certain narratives and sacred doctrines around it to help us understand and to fit the qualities and nature of the continents in which and the societies in which these stories were told. It's all one energy. It's one omnipresent, profound superpower energy. And that's what WOW is trying here to connect you to, so that you can be in that power. Because we're all meant to live a life of greatness, and we
yeah,
can. I think we can all do it together and support each other in that, and that's kind of where the I Am movement comes into. But it just, you fall in love with life again. You fall in love with being alive. You fall in love with everybody because you see the soul of everybody. You move so far away from judgment and indifferences and compartments and this and that. Like you just see from such a high perspective, this like human family, and that we're here doing great things, that each of us is a light for each other. And we all offer each other something different. Like we need each other to survive and thrive, and more so to thrive. So, and I think when we're all standing in the power of our light, that field of light and energy becomes that force, if you will, as a storyteller,
yeah,
is where we pivot into the golden era. But we have to rise in the internal consciousness to experience that personal golden era of life. And it's all very possible. It's been written over and over again. Everything that we've received in our narratives and storytelling, it's because it's already existed.
mm-hmm.
We just have to come to it.
Yeah.
And it starts within.
Yep. I am potential. If anyone can read
Yes.
that, I'm
Yes.
holding up some of these are from the youth deck.
Yeah, I have. have here to
Unique. The artwork on these is absolutely incredible.
there we go. I have I Am Creation.
Yeah, there we go. Yes, that's the adult deck.
Let me just show you a peek sneak of my children's wonder board. Hold on.
Oh yeah.
So this is the newest way of vision boarding. I don't know if we could see it, but it's the wonder board. And you know, here we have a spot for affirmations, for practices, for I am feeling, connecting with emotions, manifesting. And then here on the back is the actual creator method. It teaches us how to actually bring our manifestations and our goals and our dreams into
very cool.
realization. Yeah, it's a very, very comprehensive, playful guide to help, because, you know, we all need help. All of us are offer, you know, wisdom to certain things that we've all experienced in life. And so we've just made this a fun way to help connect you and guide you.
And is that board, is that more primarily for children, or is it for adults as well?
It's coming in 3 versions. So that's
okay.
The children one is the way that looks, and then it's coming for teens, and a new one is coming for adults as well. So this is like a really evolved way of vision boarding, if you will. But first, to manifest, one of the biggest misconceptions of manifesting, why many people don't actually truly manifest, and even if they do, it's short-lived, is because you have to know thyself and manifest from a state of love and knowing, and not desperation and disconnect.
Yeah.
So we guide you first to know thyself. So we take you through an entire process to connect to all aspects of yourself, mind, body, soul. It's an entire journey, and we do it a very thorough way. But also, and remember, everything that we do is micro-size education. So you're not getting bored or agitated or even threatened or, you know, disconnected from it. We keep it light and fun, but very, very profound.
Mm-hmm.
And then on the other side is, now that you know yourself, now that you're in confidence and you're in your I am presence, and your governance is from the I am presence and not from the mind and the ego, then we guide you through, now, okay, you're a creator, and this is how we're going to create. These are the steps to inspire creation. And then there's call to actions every day that keep you aligned and also in tune with the cycles of nature. You know, the nature that we experience outside is the same nature of our human development and evolution. And this is a huge disconnect also in the creation process. You know, so many people are pushing certain creations in the winter. You're going to have a hard time because it's not universal time for creation. You're going to be a lot more aligned if you're working with that in the spring and in the summer. So there's certain real universal wisdoms, truth, and principles, inclusive of the laws, that actually are a part of this whole journey to know thyself and then to create. And we include all of this.
That's beautiful. I love it.
Yeah.
And I love the fact that there's also like action-oriented steps and things to do, because people, I see it so much in like self-development and self-help, is like people, again, have an experience and have a realization, but then it's like, what do you do? Where do you go? You still need to go do stuff. You still need to go be and actually take some action.
Aaron, you're so right. I'm also with you on that. Like, being in the world of, you know, health and wellness and going through ceremonies and initiations and all that, people come out and it's like, I'm conscious. I get it. But nothing else changes in their life.
Yeah,
they
exactly.
declare it. But I'm like, no. You had an awareness, an awakening, but you have to become now. You have to act on it. So I get you, and I seriously, this is really one of also the reasons why we did this, why I created this, because it's like, it's every day. It's no different than brushing your teeth, eating breakfast, lunch, and dinner, drinking water. Like, be aware and be connected to yourself. Make that a commitment, a devotion, and you're going to rise. But I totally agree. I couldn't agree more. So if we're like, no, I'm conscious. I'm super conscious. Like, not because you had an awareness, you have to live it every day.
Well, because it's like when getting a release.
Yeah.
So what? You had a release. You screamed out your pain. Great. You screamed it out. You had a physical release. You released it. But now, what about the integration? What about the actual bringing those separated parts back into your wholeness and moving through with a new perspective and rewiring your response. And so that's why it's cool that you're actually giving people a process to now, cool,
Yeah,
I realize I am, now what do I do with it?
that's right. And I love what you're saying. It's so true. And integration is key. But integration, like you said, it's every day. And that's why Wonders of Wisdom, we keep it fun and entertaining, because the immersion part of it is what really, like, spirituality or consciousness, people think is separate. It's like, no, I have to go on a journey to become spiritual and conscious. No, you already are, but you have to live it. You have to do it every day. You have to be aware and conscious in as much as your possible, like daily life as possible. This is what WOW does. And we keep all these fun little tools and resources that keep you engaged without feeling bored or like, oh, this is homework, I don't want to do
Yeah.
it. Well, this sucks. Like, it's too heavy. No, this is fun stuff. Like, it's actually, like I said, it becomes a game. It becomes like this game of life, this great adventure. And I think for me, when you wake up every day with the intention to be in your I am presence, to activate that awareness, invoke your higher self, and then use these little tools. And then it's like during the day, it's like, oh, I just collected this key here and this key here. And what does that key open? What door is that opening? Now that the door is open, I have to walk through the door. You don't just open the door. Now you got to walk the path,
Yes,
right?
you gotta walk that.
Just because you got the key doesn't mean that, like, boom, you're getting that raise, or you're going to get that wife,
Yeah.
or you're going to have that, miraculous loan. No, you got to walk the path.
Yeah.
And that comes from the everyday little initiations that you are involved with. So that's key to the Wonders of Wisdom process.
It's a divine comedy how self-help, whether it be from the physical perspective to the mental, can become another trap that people spend all their time doing that versus actually living it.
That's right. You're so right. This is so on point. It is. It becomes another trap, and that's always the ego play, right?
Yeah.
When you're letting go of something, the ego really tries to pick up on something else to get you addicted to or hooked onto to kind of keep you in that isness in the brain,
Yeah, keep you up here of like, oh, I need to do another thing. When it's again, and that's where, again, coming back to your cards, I think these are a key pivotal point of reminding you that power is all here. It's all here.
Yeah.
It's hanging out inside you, around you. You can do it at any second. You can do it at any second.
It's always there. Yeah. Absolutely.
I want to also be respectful of your time.
Yeah.
And I want to thank you so much for hanging out. Whoa, that's weird.
I got that too. Yeah.
See, but the thing is about that, when it happens randomly because it's not doing it again. Anyway, I want to give you...
Got you at a good moment. You said thank you.
I've so enjoyed our conversation. What I'd love to do is, if you can, give a direction for people to go, where to find you if they want to follow you, what's in your pipeline, what do you have coming up, and some not your last words, but last words for our conversation today to set some people off in the direction. And then I want to do a process, what I call syncing out, which means we'll just realign ourselves on the way out of our conversation.
Okay.
So go for it.
So I have my website, which is wondersofwisdom.com, or sorry, .org.
.org, yes. .org, everyone.
.org. I always get that confused. And it's actually being revised right now. So we're actually going to relaunch a new website that's very precise and clear with all of our programs coming, because Wonders of Wisdom has evolved. And I right now have the launch of the children's program coming out within the next month or two, but more towards the month mark. We have currently we have all of our decks. We have affirmation deck, wisdom deck, also the children's deck. A teens deck is coming, a teen affirmation deck, and we have journals that are going to launch, which are pretty mindful. They're actually journals for the season, so it's evolving through the seasons. You get one journal for each season, and it's very mindful, and it keeps you very aligned, and it's very playful as well. And that's for all ages, each coming out as well. And I have a phenomenal project in the works. It's kind of a secret until I have further information. but it has not been done in our globe at all yet. It's the first one of a kind, venture that's happening. It does involve AI in a very creative way that has never been done before. So I'm super excited about it. And
Very cool.
maybe the next time we'll talk, I'll be able to speak about it more. And this is attached to the Wonders of Wisdom, and it's something that will help with the learning experience, but it has yet to be done. So I'm very excited about this. And that's my words. It's like a human to a human. I just, I think we've been plagued with ignorance, but it's not from self. It's a lot from the external penetration to who we are. And I think that all of us have so much potential and a beautiful gift of light that will be nurtured when you're in your I am presence and you're in your essence, the expression of your soul, speaking the language of your soul. You'll know what that is when you feel so in love with life, when you feel that Aaron was talking about, when you feel so energized that you're almost unstoppable. This is your I am presence. This is you being aligned with it. And we can all tap into it. Whether you're a teen or an adult or a parent to a child, it is vitally important that we start to learn who we are, to know our power, to stand in our essence, and to contribute to humanity and a human narrative shift. One that is full of love and enlightenment and unity. Because essentially, we're all one human family. And as a family member to the human family, I am more than honored to share this and to help inspire, and I'm right here to help as much as I can, because I believe in every single human, and I'm so excited to see people in their light, because that light is it's humanity's medicine, and we need it.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And also, by the way, you have a really cool book out, right?
Yes, the Golden Virtue is one of my first books. I was actually going to do a rewrite on it, but I haven't had time on it. But yes, It was one of that book was not not exactly self-help and not exactly like a biography book, somewhere in between. So it was a little bit of my journey in a very gentle way of coming into that presence and healing.
Okay. Are you going to, but people can, if they want to grab it, they can go to your website, right?
You can get it on my website and in my, the link under my, I have 2 Instagrams. I have the Wonders of Wisdom, and then I also have Tanja.m.Subotic. I could probably write it in here. And those are both the connecting points is in both of these, Instagram pages as well. And everything
will be able to connect with you directly if they want to, if they have further. Is it okay if people write any questions, all those things? Connect with you that way?
Of course. Yes, absolutely. I answer everything as much as I possibly can, as fast as I can. And also the I am creator methods are going to be launching soon too. So those in-depth programs that you can take you through the journey. And I will be launching digital courses where I will be engaging and speaking to bring you through these journeys.
Amazing, amazing. So folks, go to wondersofwisdom.org. If you want to grab your deck, you can drop Human Garage in there, which will help you out, give you a little 15% code to grab your deck. Don't forget to do that if you like. But I suggest you just go do it and grab your deck, because you will have a lot of fun with it. I was not a very big, because I grew up with a lot of friends who had decks, different kinds of decks to tell fortunes and stuff like that. So kind of comically, because I thought it was funny that they were always relying on a card deck to pick up their futures on, I had a weird aversion to decks. And then I saw these decks and I was like, I want it. Give me it.
These decks are I know what you're talking about. I grew up with a mother who was into tarot cards, and I was like I can't. But this is very different. And my wisdom deck, the wisdom deck that's coming out right now is incredible. And I also create decks and bespoke experiences for businesses and leaders. So we create bespoke programs and decks bringing to life their narratives, their missions, and their messages with a very creative, narrative around it. So I've worked with some really cool companies as well, bringing to life their story and their messages. So in my platform, when my new website relaunches, you'll start to see some of these projects, and you can also buy into them because it's all very like-minded work and leaders and movers and shakers that I work with.
Very cool. Um, hmm. You listening to any cool music right now?
Am I listening to any cool music?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I don't know if my music will be considered cool. When I write, I always listen to a lot of pretty interesting classical music that takes me into other dimensions to write.
Which kind of classical? I think classical music is cool. I have a hard time listening to a lot of modern like pop music or modern even like rock and roll. I end up listening to like really old rock or old 80s music
Yeah.
or classical or frequency stuff. So
Yeah.
what would you suggest on the classical front?
Oh, I have to pull up my list, but I
Yeah.
had
I'm putting you on
so
the spot.
yeah, it's okay. My memory for things like this is not always so great. But I do listen to I have actually certain soundtracks for my writing experiences. So whatever I'm working on will have its own soundtrack, and I stick with it until I finish my project. It carries me through the entire project, so that's always very fun. But like Kai Engel is one of them. I love Kai Engel. Current is another one, and then
It'd
I
be cool.
like
Do you do
which
you
one?
do you use Apple Music? I'm an Apple Music junkie, but some people like Spotify better, which is weird to me. But do you ever put together like a playlist? It'd be kind of cool maybe if
Yeah.
you release some playlists for people.
Oh,
Hey,
sure. Yeah, I do. I have many playlists.
here's what I'm inspired by when I create. Check it out.
That's a good idea. I'm going to take you up on that. Yeah, I do. And it's very specific for each project, so I do have playlists everywhere. That's a good idea. I will do that. And it's so true because music is such a profound carrier. It really elevates you and it takes you into a wonderful place to create and connect. I
Yeah,
will do that. That's excellent.
yeah, it'd just be a fun idea because like, hey, this is what I listened to when I was making this deck, or this is what I listened to because I always love discovering new music. Um, any book suggestions? Anything that you're reading or come across that you're like, hey, people, check this out. This is some good stuff.
Oh my gosh. I haven't read in a long time because I'm so busy writing.
Yeah.
Um,
It's okay. You don't have any.
Well, I like classics, and I like more like Emanuel Swedenborg. Uh, what's the other one? Rudolf Steiner. These types of things. I, I don't know if I have any of my books right here right now, but yeah, Rudolf Steiner's right in front of me. I have some of these more classical,
Yeah.
yeah, a little bit more esoteric. I have the Upanishads. I have a lot more of the older sacred texts, if you will, from the globe, which I kind of, actually, when I read, I'll sometimes just pick up a book, open up the page, and I'll actually take it as a message that I need to receive for that day.
Yes.
And I use
Yeah.
that as an intention a lot. So,
Yeah.
I have thousands of books everywhere. So I just randomly, I feel like I need to receive something. And I know that all these writers of the world, they're conduits of the universal
Yeah.
source and omnipresence. So I'll pick up the book and it's a direct message for me. I'll take it like that and I'll use it. So it's a great way that I work with books after I
I
read them.
love that because that's one of the best pieces of advice I've received from someone about reading books. Even is instead of because people tend to, or at least I did. I used to do this. Is get a book and I'm just plowing through it, plowing through it, plowing through it, plowing through it. And he's like, whoa, wait a second. Why not just pick up the book and read until you hit a point or a piece of it that really strikes you, and then stop and just take that little piece, the little nugget, and expand on it, feel it, and maybe then put the book down and go about the rest of your day with that nugget and see how it unfolds versus trying to like, oh, cool, and just keep plowing through. And it became a very interesting kind of like intuitive thing of sometimes I pick up the book and I open up a chapter to like the last chapter and I read a little piece. I don't read books sometimes linear anymore. I jump around, and I'm just picking a piece of whatever I open to that day, and then digesting it and spending time nurturing the nugget that I just took from it versus trying to like pull in a bunch more knowledge that doesn't go anywhere or doesn't sink in.
I love that. And I work like that too, actually. Sometimes I could be reading like 10 books at once.
Yeah.
You know, because you're taking from here, you're taking from here. And it's really interesting because when that happens, sometimes there's actually a synchronicity between all the books that it wasn't even intentional, but it just sometimes universally works like that. Yes, I think I will start to leave some notes on my books that I have read. I have such a huge library of books from every single I actually tend to go more ancient and more you know, founding, you know, sacred doctrines. I just find because I've always been connected to the geniuses, and you know, that's kind of where that knowledge is rooted from, and global. And not so modern, really more ancient. And I just find that the keys of wisdom in these things is just like mind blowing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to handle two pieces of like housekeeping that I have to shout out, and then we're going to sync out together. So if you want to stay on just for like 2 more minutes, we'll do a little sync out. Okay. Everybody, if you haven't already done so, grab your deck. Wondersofwisdom.org. All of this, by the way, this is going to be 2 lives that will be edited together or posted as part 1, posted as part 2. But if you're just tuning in now and want to go back through this conversation, don't worry. It will be reposted. You'll be able to watch the whole thing. All the pertinent links and pertinent information will be posted below that. And this will also live over at humangarage.tv. Please, if you haven't done so already, go over to humangarage.tv and follow there. We're actually creating that channel on purpose to make it a place where more of our long form content, these conversations like this, have a place that you can tune into on a daily basis and check out more in-depth content like this and learn it. Because our main page tends to focus on the maneuvers and what's going on in that world. And we want to give a place for you to tune in and meet our collaborators, meet people that we love connecting to, and learn more about them and what's going on. So please go give that a follow. And if you want to connect to me personally, grab onto pulseoflife.co or Aaron Mathias, The Purpose, and join in the fun there. I love to answer questions and connect with people, so you can do that as well. Follow Tanja. Stay abreast of what she's working on because she's a genius.
Thank you.
She is a genius. I can hands down say it because the creativity is unparalleled, and the beauty of all of this stuff and how it's weaved together, I think is where the genius comes in. Is like you're combining these elements with art, with intention, with sound, with words. All the communication modules are built into one connected, directed piece of content, which is incredible to do. When you can merge all those pieces together, it's pretty wild. Because a lot of people can. No, a lot of people can write something great. They're good at words. Some people are good at drawing, and you've weaved these art forms together into one unified approach, which is beautiful. All the modes of communication. So we're going to tune it out, people. We usually do this when we start meetings. We usually do this when we connect with people. We tune in. You're going to give yourself basically, if you're driving, by the way, and you're listening to this while you're driving, do not do this while you're driving because you'll have to let go of the steering wheel, and I'm not responsible for that. So if you need to do this with us, stop your car, park someplace. But you're going to basically just give yourself a hug. If you want to do right over left, left over right, whichever you prefer, you're going to pull your shoulder, your right shoulder off to the left, and you're going to look over your right shoulder. So you're going to basically twist yourself one way and then look the opposite way. If you're standing, you can cross your left over your right or your right over your left, whichever you feel inclined to do, follow your intuition. If you're sitting, you can do the same, or you can just leave your legs separate if you're standing. And we're going to take 6 breaths together. And then we're going to say adios. Now, the very first breath, I'm going to blow on this little device. It's called a love tuner. It blows at 528 hertz. So the first breath will be this tune, and then we're going to take 5 more breaths together, and we're going to say adios. And you'll be able to watch all this stuff this beautiful conversation later on.
Before we go, Aaron, before we go,
Yes.
thank you so much. I love connecting with you. I really appreciate it. And I love your spirit and your presence. It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Likewise. I want to have many, many more
Yeah.
conversations because I think that there's so many nuances of diving into these things and using the decks. I'm going to run this across to you later on, and I'll announce it now because I'm putting it into the universe, is that I want to do like a little mini series of where we can have like 3 or 4 longer conversations where you can really get into question and answer sessions with people.
Yes.
And do feedback and play around with the decks and play around with stuff. So
I love that. That's so great. I would love that. Sure. Thank you.
Awesome. So everyone, give yourself a hug. Give yourself a twist. Let's take that first breath in. Breath number 2. Exhale. I breathe really slow, so sorry everybody if you have to breathe faster. Breath number 3. Let it go. Breath number 4. Breath number 5. Let it go. Breath number 6. And then whenever you like, just kind of come back.
Wow. I feel so centering.
Yeah.
Wow. I gotta go do some more fascia maneuvers, I feel like, after this.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the cool thing is just even taking a minute and just kind of like reconnecting your breath and placing your hands on your own body, even if you don't twist or hug, just even sometimes reconnecting that way drops us back into that connection.
Yeah.
Very, very easy. Tanya, thank you so much.
Love you. Thank you so
Bye-bye.
much. Hope
Love you
to see you
too.
soon again. Bye.
Everyone, we'll catch you again soon and watch the replay of this if you're just tuning in now. I see some people just joining. Go back and watch this beautiful conversation and learn to tap back into that divine spark and pulse of life you are and connect to your purpose.
Absolutely.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
And grab some wondersofwisdom.org.
Bye.
Bye-bye.